Today's video is on the modifications I've done to my Windrider. I've had a few people ask about some of the things they see in my video I've done to the boat, including Manuel Nunez, a few other people. So while I was doing maintenance on the boat in the driveway today, I threw together a little clip on some of the major changes I've made. People ask about my windshield. When I first did the windshield, I was in Michigan, and there the issue is it gets chill. You want to get out of the air when it's cold, like in the fall, in the spring, or in the morning, and you get, stay dry, obviously. Now I'm in Texas, so the chill isn't a problem, but you still get the spray comes off the water, off the sponsons and such. It helps with that. But the big thing is it keeps, especially with the salt water, it lets my GPS that sits here and my electronics, I got some 12-volt feeds here and such, and it lets it all sit in out of the weather. It makes a big difference. It's also nice when you're sailing, so I can take a pair of gloves and just toss it in the corner, and they're not going anywhere strange or whatever I want to do. So it really comes in nice, and it's just basic PVC. 45-degree angle, a three-way here, 90 degrees down in the corner. Just did a square, just a little bit to come out here, and then down, and then I took got a gnat in my face. I took eye bolts and made the two of them, one in the base and one coming up out of the boat itself, and where put the loops together and bolted too. And that's how I clamped here, and it's good and strong, especially if a little salt water gets on it, it glues in. And then a U-bolt on each side here, and you end up with an amazing, I'm shaking the whole boat. This thing is amazing. I use this thing to help get on and off and in and out. It's like, especially when you're trailering or something, it's nice because you can get up underneath here and tie a line on when you're traveling or whatnot. And it's just, all in all, it's a really handy thing. Now, initially, I did this with plexiglass like you'd get for your screen door. And it was hard to cut, it was brittle, it didn't like drilling. And it was difficult to work with. And I got it on there, it was nice and clear, it was beautiful. But it was brittle, so as things bump around and things would crack and break, and with sharp edges, I cut myself a couple of times on these things. So I wanted to find something you could see through. I look over it. I lifted my seat up 4 inches just for comfort, so I easily look over it. But so I don't need to see through it, but it's still kind of nice. So I came up with this concept, and just out of coincidence, when I was trying to decide what to cover it with, storage tubs I was using, I took the lid, and just out of coincidence, and if you do it, get one of these things like this, with the little, it's got the braces in here and such, and measure it and build it right to that. I got lucky and just fell on it. But then the PVC falls right in these tracks. Drill and zip it on there, and that's what that is. It's just the head of a storage tub. And I took the same storage tub. As you can see, I made templates, and then I used the side, and that's what I made these side pieces out of. This is the side, this is the storage. And so now it's flexible, which means it's not going to break. It's good and sturdy. And suction cup that on there to hold on to my sunglasses and whatnot when I'm sailing. And it works real good. Like I said, you can see this thing's solid. It's no bullshit here, and it does make the day a lot nicer when you're sailing. And you just hang on to it. I got a little step here, and I step in and such. I'm a big guy, so I'm 6'4", and 320 pounds. So I gotta, when I step across here, I'm stepping across here. And it works really great. I highly suggest it. We're dealing with the splash guard on the Windriders. What happens when you're sailing, when the waves come up, the rollers will come up, whatever, they'll hit your motor mount, even if you don't have this wood brace, if it's just a stock mount. The water hits it and it sprays up, and it's like someone takes a 5-gallon bucket of water and pours it on your lap. The first time it happens, it catches you by surprise. So the popular thing to do is do splash guards. So here's this is the system I came up with. I had a couple of aluminum fins from an old paddle boat project I had years ago. I've been storing these things for 20 years, following me around these fins. So I knew one day I'd have the perfect thing for it. This was it. So I took one, just shortened it a little bit, and it went right in this panel here, which I'll get to in a minute. The other one went here. I took a piece of a file, you know, where you put files in, and I used it to cut in the pieces and shape it. And cut it all, and that got the shape here, and then I cut it with a jigsaw and some tin snips. Had a nice little lip on it already. And I took another piece of aluminum, and I made a little bracket under here, pop riveted it all in, 3 pop rivets to the mount. It's solid. This will catch any of the little spray. It never gets really huge spray back here anyway. But the big spray comes in, it's up here. So what I did, we're getting a little side splash here. There's things you have to get to under here when you're setting up, like the trampoline has to connect here. So I didn't want to just completely knock it out. So I had this piece of plastic laying around. And I pop riveted it down so it will catch whatever little spray you got here, and I can still get down in here to hook up the trampoline or get in there, whatever I want. And there's plenty of room for the furling to come up through there, the furling line. And then for this piece here, I thought about pop riveting it. It's a piece just under the bottom of this. I'll show you in a minute. But I thought about pop riveting it on, but these tubes are sealed. It's all aluminum. This isn't sealed, it's opened up, so I didn't mind putting the holes in pop riveting. But this is sealed, and I hate to drill and put in pop rivets because it might, you know, it's salt water. I don't want any chance of salt water over the years getting up inside these tubes and getting trapped. So I wanted to keep them virginal and intact. So I did 6 large zip ties. It's solid as can be. It's rocking. And I had this little piece of plastic from something I cut around. And this, when you tilt the motor forward, it catches the arm, the throttle arm, and it folds it up so the throttle isn't hanging down and plowing in the water. And I'll put the motor on, you can see how it works. This is a Suzuki 2.5 horse. It's got a really good little motor. It moves this thing just great. Just give it a little snug in here so it doesn't rot around. But you'll get a little bit of water spray up when the water hits the shaft, and that's what this will catch. That's close enough. As you can see, it lines up just right. Motor comes up, it's out of the way. Comes down. It works pretty good. This is the head of the mast here. And it's got the cap up here. I didn't want to drill into it. I thought about drilling and tapping, put my light on and such, and I thought it was kind of brittle of my brake. It's kind of a permanent decision. Start banging into it. So what I did, I took an old Texas license plate, cut it, bent it, top of the mast, so it'll be that pretty, no one can see it. Pop rivet it down. The wires from the light come underneath the plate here and go into a hole. I drill in the side of the mast and I run it down the inside of the mast. So it's all protected until it comes out underneath. Then on the back side here is the mount for the Windex. Sticker on there, and I take it off for trailering, and it works great. I got my Windex, got my light, it's all good and sturdy. It does get banged around for some reason, trailering. You could straighten it back up, and it's cheap, all about cheap, being free, just stuff laying around the garage, and that's how I did. A lot of people not sure just how to go mount up on top there, and it gets a little daunting. This is just simple. Drill a few holes and stick some pop rivets in there, and it's rocking. Should it fail or I come up with a different idea, I just drill out the pop rivets and move on from there. And so far it's been flawless. So I get a question about the electrics. And I have right under here, I have a 35 crank amp 12 volt wheelchair battery. And it's overkill for what I'm doing. The LED lights, GPS and all, it is overkill, which I like overkill. And but it's just a little thing. Doesn't weigh anything. It weighs like 7 pounds or something. And it's really, it's perfect. And then this is a small little $30, got it off Amazon solar panel. And it's about 3/4 of an amp, which isn't much. But the GPS, I got the big old Garmin GPS, that only runs half an amp. So it runs that. Time I get my little ship-to-shore radio plugged in and stuff, I can get up to about an amp, a little over an amp, and this takes care of at least half of what I got running. All of it, if I don't have the accessories done, I'm just running GPS. And the battery's more than enough to handle it. But the main purpose of this isn't so much as while I'm running, is my dock is a good ways from the cabin down there at the Gulf. And it's a big pain in the ass to run a wire down and plug it in with a charger, and I go down there like once a week, go sailing. With this, I can sit down, it's a Texas sun on it, and I can tie it up to the dock, walk away. And you know, I get down to about the 12 volt mark at the best, running all day with all the electronics, the music and everything. But with this, when I come back a week later, it'll be 13.8 volts, the whole system. And it's nice not to have to, charge it up. I'd have to run a charger. It's completely self-contained. I get out on an overnight or camping trip, I know that it's going to be, you know, it's going to hang on to itself. And that's a nice feeling, because I've yet to have to put an actual charger on this battery. It's fully self-contained. Take your mind off it, let it run. And that's the solar panel. It's small enough that it's not in the way. It doesn't hang over any edges. It's up here where you'll not be walking anyway. It's been perfect. Everything I've been doing in this video, you'll see a lot of Windriders the same thing, and they're all basically ideas I stole from someone and they stole from someone. Then we tweak it to your own preference and using your own whatever you got laying around. The one I've never seen is when I get out solo sailing, and when I got someone with me, I got a soft side cooler, round soft side cooler, and I tie it out on the front on the trampoline. So I got someone to ferry the beers and the water and lunch and sandwiches. When I'm out sailing by myself, it's, I can set something here on top of the seat, right here under the sail. But it's a long reach, and end up having to try and ferry out something if I want. It's a pain in the ass. So what I wanted to do is, when I was solo sailing, is to make a tray that would let me put stuff here that I need real quick and easy and stuff as I go. So just using some scrap marine plywood I had around from another project, came up with this. It's not the prettiest thing, but it's saltwater, nothing stays pretty long. What I did is I measured the length where I want between those two braces, and I took a couple strips and glued and screwed them down on the back. One to go on the front side here, and two to go on the inside of this to keep it from moving around much. And then this will keep it from going forward. So what happens, this is the strap that keeps the lid on, you all know that strap. So what happens is it fits on there really nice, and then I take this, long reach here, and I'd put it right there. It's already there, the strap's already there, and that has it solid. It's not going anywhere. There's no wind gonna blow it up. I can set my cooler right there, whatever odds and ends, and it's all there within easy reach from the seat. I can reach up and easily grab something cold to drink or whatever I want. And left openings here, so any water that gets on here goes off the side, not down in the boat. And it works really well. It makes life a lot easier when you're solo sailing. And I just did it with stuff that's scrap laying around the garage, so it didn't cost a penny. And it's good and sturdy. You can use it. I actually use it as a step across when you're working the boat. I can go from board to board, stepping right here if I want. And I don't know how I lived without it until I made it. It's pretty damn convenient. And then it just pops off. You can throw it down in the boat, put the cap on when you're taking off to drive home. It's out of the way. It's no fuss, no muss. It's really pretty handy. Right. As far as spare gas, I went with a gallon. A lot of people like a half a gallon. Gallon really is overkill these little 2.5 horsepower motors, but I get floating around out in the Gulf of Mexico. I like to have the extra kill, and it doesn't take any extra space for a gallon. And the tray is a liner for a soft-sided cooler. It just wore out over the years. I used to carry it to work and stuff before I retired. And I took the liner out. It was about this tall, and I cut it down low. That'd be just good for this guy to sit in. So I drop him in. I put a line on the back side here. It goes to a carabiner with a little help from the salt water. A little loop there for it. Now it's in. I don't even take it off. When I trailer this down the freeway, that stays right where it's at. It's solid. It's out of the way. It's never been a problem sailing. And I got another 4 tanks of gas right there, other than the one I'm leaving the dock with. So this has really worked out well. I'm actually out sailing. I've yet to have to dip into it for fuel. I've come close, but get a lot of good wind down in the Gulf. You don't run out of wind too often, and the only really time you have to really fire it up is I got about a mile and a half of river to get to the big water from my dock. And so, depending on the wind, you might have to use that for a few minutes as you curve around. So I haven't had a big problem, but if the wind does die, I want to make sure I can get home. Got a lot of years of sailing experience in the big boats, and I know I like to have the redundancy issue. And this works really well. Well, hopefully you came away with something you could use. And my next video on this type, I'll do all the electrics, all the wiring, and explain that. But make sure to subscribe. This isn't the only thing we do. We do all sorts of other crazy stuff, and you can keep in touch. Until then, see ya.